3 destroyers, 85 invasion ships, 2 hours of naval warfare. This is how the United States Navy stopped China's attempt to invade Taiwan and prevented World War III. October 3, 2025, 2:14 a.m. Taiwan Strait. China launched the largest amphibious invasion force since D-Day. 85 ships, Type ERO-71 landing platform docks, Type ERO-72 landing ships, Type ERO-75 amphibious assault ships, each vessel packed with troops, tanks, artillery, amphibious vehicles, total invasion force, 28,000 troops. This wasn't an exercise, wasn't a drill, was the real thing. China was invading Taiwan. The operation had been planned for decades, rehearsed hundreds of times. Today was execution day. China expected to establish beachheads by dawn, expected to land forces before American carriers could respond, expected the world to accept a fait accompli. They were wrong. 3 American Arleigh Burke-class destroyers were already positioned in the strait: USS John S. McCain, USS Curtis Wilbur, USS Mustin, 96 vertical launch cells per ship, 288 missiles total, against 85 ships carrying China's invasion army. The mathematics favored America, the technology favored America, the outcome would favor America. The geopolitical crisis had exploded overnight. On October 1st, Taiwan held a referendum on formal independence. 73% voted yes. Taiwan declared itself a sovereign nation, independent from China on October 2nd at noon. Beijing's response was immediate, called it illegal secession, activated invasion plans, mobilized the Eastern Theater Command. By midnight October 2nd, 85 invasion ships were departing Chinese ports, heading toward Taiwan, moving at 18 knots. ETA Taiwan beaches, 6 r.a.m., October 3rd. The invasion timeline was tight, aggressive, designed to achieve surprise before American forces could concentrate. But American intelligence had been tracking Chinese preparations for weeks. Knew the invasion was coming, knew the timing, knew the routes. 3 destroyers were pre-positioned in the Taiwan Strait, concealed by Taiwanese waters, ready to intercept, ready to fight, ready to stop the invasion before it reached shore. The destroyers' commanders had clear orders: sink the invasion fleet, use all necessary force, prevent Chinese troops from reaching Taiwan. Rules of engagement were weapons-free. This was war. Commander Sarah Mitchell commanded USS John S. McCain, lead destroyer, 43 years old, 18 years in the Navy, multiple combat deployments. She'd commanded the McCain for 2 years, knew the ship intimately, trusted her crew completely. They'd trained for this scenario dozens of times: Taiwan invasion response, anti-ship warfare, saturation attacks. Tonight, training became reality. Commander Mitchell's tactical decisions over the next 2 hours would determine whether Taiwan remained free or became a Chinese province, would determine whether America maintained credibility in Asia, would determine whether World War III started or was prevented. No pressure. What's your weapon of choice? Type A for destroyers, Type B for aircraft carriers. Drop your answer below. The Arleigh Burke-class destroyer is the most capable surface combatant ever built. Aegis Combat System, SPY-1D radar tracking hundreds of targets simultaneously, 96 Mk-41 vertical launch system cells. Each cell could launch different missile types: SM-2 air defense missiles, SM-6 multi-role missiles, Tomahawk land attack missiles, and most importantly tonight, RGM-84 Harpoon anti-ship missiles and SM-6 missiles in anti-ship mode. Each destroyer also mounted a 5-inch gun, capable of naval gunfire against surface targets. The destroyers were floating arsenals designed for exactly this mission: surface warfare against massed enemy ships. The Chinese invasion fleet was massive but vulnerable. Type 071 docks displaced 25,000 tons, carried 800 troops and 50 vehicles each, lightly armed, minimal defensive systems. Type 072 landing ships were even lighter, 4,800 tons, 250 troops, Virtually no defenses. These weren't warships, were transport vessels, cargo ships carrying soldiers. They relied on escorts for protection. China had provided 12 Type 052D destroyers as escorts. Good ships, modern, capable, but 12 ships couldn't provide air defense for 85 transports against concentrated American missile attack. Commander Mitchell detected the fleet at 2:14 a.m., range 85 miles. The Aegis radar painted everything clearly. 85 large contacts, 12 escorts, moving in formation toward Taiwan. Speed 18 knots. ETA Taiwan beaches, 3 hours 46 minutes. She had to stop them. Had to sink enough ships to abort the invasion. Had to do it before Chinese Air Force could respond with land-based missiles and aircraft. Time was critical. Every minute the fleet got closer to Taiwan, closer to safety of Chinese air defense umbrella, closer to landing their troops. She coordinated with USS Curtis Wilbur and USS Mustin at 2:16 a.m. All three destroyers would fire simultaneously, saturate Chinese defenses, overwhelm their ability to respond. Standard U.S. Navy doctrine against superior numbers. Don't fight fair. Use technology, use coordination, use overwhelming firepower. The three destroyers had 288 vertical launch cells combined. Commander Mitchell allocated targets. Each destroyer would engage different sections of the fleet, maximize coverage, minimize overlap, ensure nothing escaped. The first launch occurred at 2:18 a.m. USS John S. McCain fired 32 RGM-84 Harpoon missiles in 90 seconds. The vertical launch cells erupted in sequence. White smoke, thunder. The Harpoons accelerated to 537 miles per hour, dropped to sea-skimming altitude, 50 feet above the waves, below Chinese radar coverage. The missiles used active radar homing, would find targets autonomously, would select aim points, would detonate 4 88-pound warheads on impact. Each Harpoon could sink a transport ship with one hit, 32 missiles, 32 potential kills. USS Curtis Wilbur fired 28 Harpoons at 2:19 a.m. USS Mustin fired 30 Harpoons at 2:20 a.m., 90 Harpoon missiles in flight, converging on the Chinese fleet from 3 directions. Flight time to target, approximately 9 minutes. The Chinese had 9 minutes to detect, track, and engage 90 sea-skimming missiles, with 12 escorts, against American technology designed specifically to defeat their defenses. The mathematics were impossible. The outcome was predetermined. What would you have done commanding the Chinese fleet when missiles appeared? Comment your answer below. Chinese radar detected the launches at 2:19 a.m. The Type 052D destroyer's radar system saw the missile motors, tracked the trajectories, calculated impact times, activated defensive systems. The Type 052D carried HHQ-9 surface-to-air missiles, effective against aircraft and cruise missiles. Each destroyer had 48 missiles. 12 destroyers meant 576 interceptors available. Against 90 Harpoons, the numbers favored China, except the Harpoons weren't alone. Commander Mitchell had held back a second salvo, waited for Chinese defenses to activate. Once the HHQ-9 systems went active, they revealed themselves, became targets. She fired 48 SM-6 missiles at 2:21 a.m., not at the invasion transports, at the Chinese destroyers. The SM-6 was designed for multi-role missions, air defense, ballistic missile defense, and anti-ship warfare. Speed Mach 3.5, range over 200 miles, active radar homing. The SM-6 was faster than the Harpoon, would reach the Chinese fleet first, would kill the escorts, would leave the transports defenseless. The Chinese defensive doctrine collapsed at 2:27 a.m. The first SM-6 missiles arrived, traveling at Mach 3.5. The Chinese point defense systems couldn't track them effectively, couldn't engage fast enough. 8 SM-66 penetrated defenses, struck 4 Type 052D destroyers. The impacts were devastating. The SM-6's 140-pound warhead detonated against ship superstructures, destroyed radar systems, wrecked command centers, killed crews. 3 destroyers were mission-killed immediately, lost combat capability. The 4th destroyer's magazine exploded. Secondary detonations ripped the ship apart. It sank in 4 minutes. The Chinese fleet had lost 25% of its air defense capability before the Harpoons even arrived. If you're enjoying this deep dive into modern warfare, take a moment to hit that subscribe button. The Harpoons struck at 2:28 a.m. 90 missiles. 73 penetrated the degraded Chinese defenses, found targets. The transports had no chance. Type 071 landing docks were designed to transport troops, not to survive anti-ship missile impacts. The Harpoons struck at waterline, punched through thin hull plating, detonated inside. The 488-pound warheads exploded in troop compartments, in vehicle decks, in engineering spaces. The destruction was catastrophic. Type 071 landing dock Wuzhishan was hit by 3 Harpoons at 2:28 and 14 seconds. The first missile struck amidships, exploded in the vehicle deck, destroyed 12 amphibious vehicles, killed 47 troops. The second missile hit the stern, destroyed the well deck, flooded the ship. The third missile struck the superstructure, destroyed command and control. The Wuzhishan listed heavily. Captain ordered abandon ship. 800 troops and crew entered the water. The ship sank 20 minutes later. Across the invasion fleet, similar devastation unfolded. Type 072 landing ships were even more vulnerable, smaller, lighter armor. Each Harpoon that hit sank a Type 072. 17 Type 072s were hit in the first salvo. 14 sank immediately. 3 more sank within the hour. 3,400 troops went into the water. The Taiwan Strait was filled with burning ships and drowning soldiers. Chinese escorts fought back desperately. The remaining Type 052D destroyers launched YJ-18 anti-ship missiles at 2:29 a.m., 32 missiles targeting the American destroyers. The YJ-18 was capable. Mach 3 terminal speed, 300-kilogram warhead. Difficult target, but the Arleigh Burke destroyers were designed for this. Aegis Combat System tracked all 32 missiles, calculated intercept solutions, fired SM-2 missiles. The SM-2s, engaged at long range, destroyed 28 YJ-18s before they reached terminal phase. 4 missiles penetrated to close range. The destroyer's close-in weapon systems activated. Phalanx CIWS 20mm rotary cannons. Rate of fire 4,500 full rounds per minute. Walls of lead. 3 more YJ-18s were destroyed. 1 missile hit USS Curtis Wilbur. The YJ-18 struck Curtis Wilbur at 2:30 a.m., port side amidships. The warhead detonated against the hull, penetrated 6 inches of steel, exploded inside, killed 12 sailors, wounded 34, started fires. The damage control teams responded immediately, contained the fires, shored up bulkheads. The Curtis Wilbur was damaged but operational, still fighting, still firing. The Chinese attack had achieved 1 hit, cost them 4 destroyers, bad exchange ratio. Don't miss what comes next. Make sure you're subscribed so you never miss an analysis like this. Commander Mitchell fired the second wave at 2:32 a.m., 48 more Harpoons. The 3 destroyers' magazines were depleting, but so was the Chinese fleet. First wave had sunk 19 transports, damaged 12 more, destroyed 4 escorts. The invasion force was being decimated. The second wave would finish them. The Harpoons flew toward the burning fleet, sought new targets, found them, struck them, sank them. Type DU-075 amphibious assault ship Guangxi was the flagship, 40,000 tons, carried 30 helicopters and 1,200 Marines. The pride of China's amphibious fleet, 5 Harpoons converged on the Guangxi at 2:41 a.m., The ship's point defenses engaged, shot down 2 missiles, 3 hit. The impacts crippled the massive ship, flooded the hangar deck, destroyed 6 helicopters, killed 180 Marines. The Guangxi wasn't sinking, but was combat ineffective, dead in the water, burning. Admiral commanding the invasion force was aboard. He ordered general retreat at 2:43 a.m. The invasion was over. The Chinese fleet turned around at 2:44 a.m. What remained of it? 31 transports had sunk. 12 more were sinking. 28 were damaged, but mobile. 14 were undamaged. The invasion force that left port with 85 ships was returning with 42. 1,100 Chinese troops were dead or missing, drowned when ships sank, killed by missile impacts, lost in the burning oil slicks that covered square miles of ocean. China's invasion of Taiwan had failed, stopped by 3 American destroyers, stopped by superior technology and training, stopped by the United States Navy. Was this defense of Taiwan or active war against China? Leave your thoughts in the comments. The battle continued sporadically until 4:18 a.m. Chinese destroyers fired missiles. American destroyers intercepted them. Both sides were depleting magazines, running low on weapons, but the strategic objective was achieved. The invasion was stopped. Taiwan was safe. The Chinese fleet was retreating. Mission accomplished. Commander Mitchell ordered ceasefire at 4:19 a.m., allowed the surviving Chinese ships to withdraw. No reason to continue killing when the invasion was already defeated. USS John S. McCain had fired 84 missiles. USS Curtis Wilbur fired 68. USS Mustin fired 72. Total toss 224 missiles expended. The destroyers' magazines were nearly empty, but they'd stopped the invasion, sunk 31 ships, damaged 40 more, killed 11,400 enemy combatants. USS Curtis Wilbur suffered moderate damage. 12 American sailors killed, 34 wounded. The exchange ratio was brutally one-sided. America had won decisively. The strategic impact was immediate and global. China's invasion had failed spectacularly. Their military had been humiliated, their amphibious fleet devastated, their troops drowned in the Taiwan Strait. The psychological impact was crushing. If China couldn't invade Taiwan across 100 miles of water against 3 American destroyers, how could they challenge U.S. military power anywhere? The answer was clear: they couldn't. This kind of detailed tactical breakdown takes hours to research. Subscribe to help us keep making them. Taiwan celebrated survival. The referendum on independence had nearly cost them everything, but American destroyers had saved them, proven that U.S. security guarantees were real, that American military power was decisive, that Taiwan could rely on Washington. The island's stock market soared 18% when it reopened. International recognition of Taiwanese independence accelerated. 20 nations formally recognized Taiwan within a week. China's invasion attempt had backfired completely. The international response was swift. The United Nations Security Council condemned China's invasion. The vote was 13-0 with China and Russia abstaining. NATO declared the Taiwan Strait a critical international waterway, committed to freedom of navigation operations. Japan announced defensive alliance with Taiwan, agreed to host additional American forces. South Korea positioned destroyers in the strait. Australia sent submarines. The international coalition against Chinese aggression solidified overnight. Your engagement directly shapes what we cover next. Drop a comment and subscribe. China's Xi Jinping faced internal crisis. The invasion was his decision, his plan, his failure. Chinese military leadership blamed inadequate intelligence, underestimated American positioning, didn't expect destroyers to be pre-positioned in the strait, didn't anticipate coordinated salvo attacks, didn't prepare for losing 43 ships in 2 hours. The excuses didn't matter. The failure was absolute. Xi's position weakened, his authority questioned, his legacy damaged. For the 11,400 Chinese troops who died in the Taiwan Strait, October 3rd was their final day. Most drowned when ships sank, weighted down by gear, unable to swim in rough seas. Others burned to death on sinking vessels. Some were killed by missile impacts. The survivors were rescued by Taiwanese and American ships over the following days. 4,200 prisoners of war, humiliated, defeated, captured by the enemy they were supposed to conquer. Their families were told they died heroically. The truth was messier. They died in a failed invasion stopped by American destroyers before troops even saw Taiwan's beaches. If you made it this far, you're the core of our community. Like, subscribe, and hit that bell. October 3rd, 2025 proved that amphibious invasions against defended coasts are obsolete in modern warfare. That surface warships can stop invasion fleets with standoff weapons, that American Aegis destroyers remain the most capable surface combatants on Earth. China had assembled their largest invasion force since World War II, had planned for decades, had trained extensively, and 3 American destroyers stopped them completely, sank 31 ships, killed 11,400 troops, prevented the invasion, saved Taiwan, maintained regional stability. The lesson for China was brutal. Taiwan cannot be taken by force. American military power in the Pacific is overwhelming. Attempting invasion guarantees failure and humiliation. The cost of October 3rd exceeded $18 billion in lost ships and equipment. The strategic cost was incalculable. China's military reputation was shattered. Their amphibious capabilities were crippled. Their regional dominance was challenged. 3 destroyers had changed everything. The Arleigh Burke-class destroyer justified every dollar of its development cost that night. Each ship cost $1.8 billion to build. Critics called them expensive, unnecessary, suggested smaller, cheaper ships would suffice. October 3rd proved otherwise. The Aegis system, the vertical launch cells, the SM-6 missiles, the coordination capabilities, no cheaper ship could have stopped the Chinese invasion. The technology matters, the capability matters, the investment pays dividends when warfare requires it. October 3rd, 2025 will echo through naval history forever. The day 3 American destroyers stopped the largest amphibious invasion in 70 years. The day China's Navy learned they couldn't challenge American surface warfare capabilities. The day Taiwan survived because American warships were positioned perfectly and fought flawlessly. The day modern naval warfare proved that quality defeats quantity when technology and training reach American levels. Remember October 3rd, remember the destroyers, remember what happens when freedom requires defenders willing to fight impossible odds against overwhelming numbers. They win decisively, completely, absolutely. The Taiwan Strait remains free, Taiwan remains independent, American naval power remains unmatched. 3 destroyers proved it beyond question.